If you're like me, you've watched all the reviews of all the mice, whether it be the glorious Finalmouse, Cooler Master, whatever it may be, you've watched them all. And a lot of different reviewers talk about all their copies that they received. A lot of them got free units. Well, I've purchased all my units. Okay. So I want to go over each mouse and describe what I think are the important aspects of each and what that means as far as usability and build quality and whatnot. So the first mouse I'm going to talk about today is the MM710. Okay, I waited 3 months for this mouse. Ordered it off Amazon. It has the 3389 sensor. It weighs scale says 57 grams, which is much higher than the 53 that it says on the box. But anyway, it's a great mouse. The buttons, the main buttons, feel great. That's really one thing that I watch out for are the buttons. Scroll wheel, great. Middle button, scroll wheel press, kind of firm. Side buttons, here's where I have a complaint. These side buttons have very little travel. The only problem with them is they're hard to press because they're a little bit tough to press. Firm, very firm. But if you're like me and you use your side buttons for fast-paced FPS games, they're going to be kind of hard to press on the fly. But they're not bad. They're just a little bit too firm for me. Let's go over the feet. They have the, I guess, Hyperglide-ish feel, although they're not as good as the Hyperglides. They're good. They're not bad. I don't have any complaints. I would say that they're not on par with Hyperglide, but they're almost there. Overall, the mouse, the shape of the mouse, if you like this shape, you already know, because this is the old model, Cooler Master shape. And if you like it, you already know. I will say that the hump here is a little bit too big for me, right here, which isn't present on the other mice that I have. But overall, I do enjoy using the mouse. Again, it weighs about 57 grams. The next mouse, let's go with the one I waited almost a month after I ordered it. This is the Finalmouse CapeTown. Probably one of my favorite mice. Let's go through real quick here. It weighs scale says 54 grams with cable. Let's go through it as far as the buttons. Mouse 1, mouse 2, great. Middle button, great. The scroll wheel, sometimes when you scroll like this, there's a clicking noise, but I don't believe that affects the functionality at all. So that's not too much of an issue. The side buttons are absolutely great. A little bit, they're large and they're easy to press and they feel great. So I don't have any complaints at all with this mouse. The only issue that you may have is the size of it. It's very small. It's smaller than what you probably think it is. In fact, I have the Model O minus and obviously the MM710. It's much smaller. I feel like the width is smaller. Your grip width right here. And that makes a difference. It is something to get used to. But overall, I would say the mouse is absolutely great. Build quality on it is great. The cable is great. I did not talk about the cable on the MM710. I'll go back to that, actually. The cable, you know what, I'll wait till the end and I'll go through all the cables so we can compare them. The only problem is the size on this, and if you can get past the size, then it's all good. Next mouse, Model O minus. Okay. RGB, if you like RGB. And there's no question that Glorious had some issues with quality control, okay? With Model O, the button wobble on M1 and M2 was horrendous. My copy has, my Model O copy has tremendous button wobble. I don't use it very much. I haven't had it hooked up to my computer in months, but it does have button wobble. The new Model O minus, I would say little to no button wobble. So they've tightened up some quality control, which is good. The scroll wheel. Let me go through each button here. M1, M2 feel great. No issues there. Scroll wheel. Although I will say, when I first got this, the little they say like the little wedding band rubber piece here, it actually was not functioning properly, because when I scrolled like this, when I first got this mouse, it would just spin on the track there. So I just got a piece of tape and fixed it. But that was one issue I had out of the box. Scroll wheel, pressing in, I'd say very, very, very firm on that. Very firm. Not too much of an issue if you don't use that button very often. The only issue I have with this mouse, I will say, is the side buttons. The side buttons are, when I first got the mouse, they were very mushy. And I had to open up the mouse. You take off the feet here on the bottom, each back foot, and you unscrew it, and you can adjust, using like a piece of tape or something. You can adjust where the little contacts are on these buttons, so you can make them tighter, which is exactly what I did. And now the buttons feel great. As far as the press, okay, the issue I have with them is they're just cheap, okay? They went with a cheap switch. Glorious went with the cheap switch on the side buttons, and it's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. It would be my favorite mouse if it wasn't for a couple different things, one being side buttons. The other thing I'm going to talk about later, which is the cord. And overall, it's a great mouse. $49.99, okay? I'll go over the prices of each at the end. But it weighs 59 grams, okay? 59. I think the packaging says 58, but great mouse. The next mouse, let's see here. My favorite mouse. Wait for it. G-Wolves M Classic 3360 sensor. The 3389 version hasn't came out yet. So when the 3389 version comes out, I'll probably buy it, although there's no reason to, because this sensor is great, works great. Let me go over this one. This mouse here, M1, M2, feel good. Feel really good. I would say that they're not, the quality control on this mouse is not good. I will explain in a second, but M1 and M2 on this copy are great. The scroll wheel, very easy to press, but I'm going to compare all the four scroll wheels at the end. The scroll wheel itself feels good. Steps feel great. Side buttons, okay. A lot of the reviewers say these side buttons are mushy, especially the back one. Okay, I'm here to tell you that they're not. Okay, these side buttons are. I want to activate anything here. Let me press on my screen. Side buttons are absolutely the tightest little travel side buttons of any mouse that I have, minus probably the G Pro Wireless. Okay, they have very tight side buttons too. I would say they're even tighter than this. Okay, yeah, I would say that the G Wolves is even tighter than the G Pro Wireless. And after watching the reviews on this mouse, many of them said that the problem was in this back button here. I don't have any problems at all. But I will say this, okay? I have multiple versions of this mouse. I'm sorry, multiple copies. I have another black version, and I have the white version. Okay, I have it here. I bought them from Newegg, and the two black copies I have are identical in quality control. Okay, the white version actually has button wobble. on these two M1, M2, and it's very frustrating to the point where I'm sending it back because I can't deal with button wobble. It was present on the Model O. It was present on the G-Wolves M white version, and it's frustrating, especially when it affects your gameplay, which it actually did for me. The weight of this mouse, $63. Okay, I think the packaging says 61, but it's 63 on my scale. Great mouse. So let's compare them real quick. We have all four of these mice. Here, let me move them over here. All right. So let me get them in. So the MM710 buttons feel great. The M1, M2 buttons feel great. Okay. I would say that as far as force to press, very similar. They're all pretty similar. Each of them have their own sound for the press, but they're all good. I will say that the white version of the G-Wolves I have, the M1, M2, they have a different sound when I press them in, which is unusual because they're the same switch to the best of my knowledge. So very unusual there. I'm not sure there's some quality control issues with different batches, but anyway, the M1, M2 buttons on all these are very similar. They feel great. The scroll wheel press, definitely Model O minus, definitely the firmest. I want to say second firmest is MM710. Third firmest is definitely G-Wolves, and least firm Model O. Cables. Cable on the MM710, overall very good. It's a tighter weave than the shoelace type cable on the Model O minus, and the MM710 and the Finalmouse have about the same cable. In fact, when I look at them, they look almost identical. And I would say the cable on the Finalmouse, G-Wolves, and MM710 are all about the same. There is not really a difference between the cables. Obviously, the colors are different, but yeah, they're about the same. The side buttons, an order of ease of use, or I should say an order of being able to press them with little travel easily when you're playing FPS games. In order of good to bad, I would say that the easiest one, probably the Finalmouse. Second easiest, G-Wolves. Third easiest, MM710. And obviously, these side buttons on this thing need a lot of work, but they're decent. If you don't use the side buttons very often, they're fine. Now the feet. All right, let's look at the feet real quick here. The feet. As you can see, the feet on the Model O and the Finalmouse are very similar. Okay. The G-Wolves, they look kind of generic. They're supposedly pretty high quality, but they just look generic. I'll probably will end up buying some hyperglides for the G-Wolves mouse. MM710, I'll definitely I'll end up buying some hyperglides for that. Overall, though, I'd say they're pretty good. In order of good to bad feet, I would say, tough one. I would say, I don't have any problems with these on the G-Wolves. And although a lot of people complain about the scratchiness of the Finalmouse, after I used it for a while, that's gone. I would say these are good. And then lastly, the worst feet, probably on this MM710. Now, if you guys have any questions, I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anything. If you guys have any questions on these mice, let me know. drop your question down in the comments. It's kind of an informal video because I just wanted to get this video out there to compare these, probably the 4 most common lightweight mice. And I'm here to answer any questions you have. Thanks for watching, guys, and always subscribe. I'll do more of these videos, especially when this new version of the G-Wolves comes out. And maybe even an updated version of the white MM710. So we'll see how it goes. One thing I did not talk about are the skins on the Finalmouse. And I would say that the skins are kind of a gimmick because they fall off. That's the reason why I didn't include them in this. The skins, I would say, are a waste of time. They work for a couple weeks and they end up peeling off. Anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, guys.